Welcome back, everybody. The playoffs are upon us. Now, I've been a bit remiss in doing any matchup or managerial decision analysis of late, mostly because there haven't been very many close matchups to talk about, and although this weekend was not much different, I will be taking a closer look at some decisions that have been made in the past couple of weeks. Now, starting off, I won't take too long touching on this record-breaking performance from me last week, but I will say one thing, and that is God damn! 193 points, 52 from Josh Allen. Pookie scored 36, 35 from Zach Charbonnet, who I picked up one day before the game started. Now, this is roster decision number one that I want to talk about, but it's not about me. This is about Lou. Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker's backup. Kenneth Walker on Lou's team, ruled out prior to Charbonnet clearing waivers. And with Lou's season on the line and his starting running back out, he put in a waiver claim for $2 to get Charbonnet. He had 25 fab and put in a claim for $2 in the last week of the regular season. Now, yes, me, with nothing to play for this week and a bye week secured, put in a bid for $26, knowing he only had 25 to spend. Therefore, Lou never had a real shot at getting Charbonnet. However, it's still right to judge for putting in a claim for $2. Now, this loss puts him at the bottom of a four-way tie at 14-14. 18 points out of the playoffs. That's 1.3 points per week short of making the playoffs. And it's partially because of decisions like this. And because of decisions like this, any win that he gets in the remainder of the season will be a bottom six win in the toilet bowl. Now, speaking of the toilet bowl, Brian firmly answers the question of who deserves to have the bye week there, but we're just going to talk about Paul here. Shocker. Aiden O'Connell was not the savior Paul needed to save his season. Turns out no such savior existed, because even if you put Josh Allen's 52 points in here, Paul's team is barely scraping out 100 points this week. This team hurts to look at. Now, yes, he's got Lamar, Tank Dell on bye, sure. Everyone had bye week issues this week. Trey Benson was starting regardless. He didn't put in a claim for Charbonnet. He made the decision to start Trey Benson. I guess that's better than Cedric Tillman, who was ruled out, and Paul still played him. So at least Trey Benson was playing in the game. Now, Paul has the bye locked up, as I said. That means he will be putting just as much attention into his lineup this week as he did last week. Next up, we have Ryan beating Chase, sending Chase to an 0-2 week. This locks up Chase's bye in the toilet bowl bracket, looking primed for a first worst run back, as we talked about last week. As for Ryan, a middling week for a middling season. Devontae Smith and Kamara, his new trade items, combined for like 20 points. Westbrook-Akine comes down to earth. Just an average performance. He's right in the middle of that toilet bowl bracket, and he will be fighting for his life against Tim next week, but we'll get to Tim later. Now, this next matchup, Skip versus Pryor, two playoff teams. Skip goes 1-1 here as Brian actually jumps him on Monday night. It didn't affect seeding in any way. He would have been the 4 or 5, and Jeff would have been the 4 or 5, so they would have played regardless. But it's just kind of cool to see a four-way tie at 14-14. As for the Pryors, their starting lineup is a cursed area. Bucky Irving traded to them like 6 weeks ago, finally put him in 2 weeks ago, and then this week he gets injured almost immediately and scores 2 points. Now, Jayden Reed didn't even get injured. He just dropped a goose egg, 1 target. Skip picked up C. Austin, Calvin Austin, didn't know who that was, and he had a catch for 4 yards, but that's still better than Jayden Reed did. Now, as I said, these are two playoff teams, not exactly going into the playoffs confidently. Skip has 3 Jets running backs on his team. That is a strategy. Next up, 2 more playoff teams Also not going in on super high notes. Jeff loses to Brittany here. Brittany goes 2-0, secures the 3rd seed. This might be like the second waiver claim she's put in all year. Got the bell of the ball in Garendo. He got hurt at the end of the game, so we'll see how he does the remainder of the season. As for Jeff, the roster decision we need to talk about here is his sit-start decisions. This week he went with T. Higgins and Nick Chubb, who had less than 5 points each. He had Jordan Addison on the bench with 35 points. In Jordan Addison's last 3 weeks, he scored 26, 7, and 35. I'll let y'all guess which 1 week Jeff started him in. Yeah, it was that week. Jerry Jeudy was on Jeff's bench last week. He scored 36 there. Jeff has the players week to week to make the championship. It's just a matter of can he put them in the lineup correctly. Last, but certainly not least, we have Tim versus Zach. Monday night rundown for the ages as Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, the stack that Zach traded to acquire, combined for 62 points and a last-minute touchdown, jump him over Tim and get him the win. 62 points, yeah. Paul's entire team scored 59. Tim at one point in the week messaged me asking if him crushing Zach helped my playoff seeding. And then Zach came back to beat him. Tim's team did great. Purdy 22 points, Chuba 20 points, Jacobs 25, Jefferson almost 30. It didn't matter. He lost with 143, just putting the cherry on top of the struggling season that Tim has faced. Now, Tim should cakewalk out of the toilet bowl bracket. But with the way his luck has been this season, I'm just not so sure it's going to happen. Speaking of those matchups for next week, we got Skip versus Jeff. And Skip can do whatever he needs to do here, whichever Jets running back he's going to play. It's just going to come down to can Jeff start the right people. And this week, it looks like he's just going to put all his wide receivers in there. Just flip the coin on all of them and hope they hit. Maybe Worthy will be the one that scores 35 points on the bench this week. But if Jeff's team lands on heads, it's going to be a tough week for Skip. Priors versus Brittany. Brittany's had a great season all year long, and she gets Derrick Henry. Even if Garendo doesn't play, she has Derrick Henry on bye coming back from bye to fill in. So she's definitely the favorite here. I don't even know if it matters who the Priors start because they're probably just going to get injured. So that'll be a tough game for them. Now, as for the losers bracket, we all know Tim's the favorite, but the fantasy gods have not been kind to him this season. And Lou and Brian, we'll see what happens with them. Now, I'm not playing this week. I would love it if someone else would cover the Commissioner's Corner for next week, but I'll leave that up to y'all. All volunteers are welcome. I will catch you on the next time. 193 points.